Hey, welcome to this week's Gravity live stream. We missed last week. We were away on holidays. It's February
Holidays.
12th. You were on holiday.
No, I was at a conference.
Oh, conference holiday. Really, is it any different? But it's been a couple of weeks, and there's been some drama. So we're going to get into the drama from the range we were in. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Housekeeping? I don't think so. Let's just get straight into it because we'll probably talk a lot.
Yeah.
We want to keep it brief. So here's the chart of Bitcoin in case anybody's been living under a rock, and so here's where we were last week.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so we were long a little bit, and I said, I'm hoping it goes up. If it does, I'll sell the low 90s because we were in this range. We were in this range for a long, long time. It had been almost 3 months in the range. And what do? I play the range until the range breaks. But I said, if it goes down, what I'm going to do is I will buy more down here at the bottom of the range, which I did. But if it breaks that range, and certainly if 80 broke, we got to get out. We got to take the loss. You just got to do it and either go short or stay out of the market and wait and see what happens. Now, the range did break, so we took a hit there. It wasn't huge, but it was a hit. And I didn't flip short initially, but when it came down here, bounced and failed again, I started shorting. And you can still see we have a little bit of a short position on. I took out half, on one of these dip downs. And how much is this short worth right now? Yeah, like $400, and we've got a gold position, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But here we are. We had this crazy wick down to like 58 or 59,000. A pretty good bounce up to 70, 71 around there, and down up, and it failed again the second time it hit, and all we're doing is drifting down. So, as you can imagine, Twitter and all these social medias are full of all kinds of people with all kinds of opinions, and a lot of them are very, very valid. I know it's a hard time for a lot of crypto traders, especially if you're long oriented. There's some very valid arguments for this thing going down more. There's also arguments for it to being pushed back up. Certain people or whales have a lot at stake, or miners. There's all kinds of different parties at play here. But I think that, to your credit too, you were talking about that longer term head and shoulders. I think we can, I don't know if gravity's...
It's just long enough.
Yeah. So here's a shoulder, here's the head, here's a shoulder, it broke. So that was a good call on your part.
It was a nagging doubt I kept having that kept us cautious about the bounce, right?
Yeah, and every time the market bounced, it got rammed down. Take a bounce, ram down. Take a bounce, ram down. It just happened every time, over and over. Now, Bitcoin has this nasty habit of screwing with your mind. So here we are in this situation. We're down in sort of the mid 60s, and it just can't do it. It just keeps bouncing and getting rejected, bouncing and getting rejected. And what it does is it pulls in more and more and more shorts. We've seen this. People are saying, oh my God, it's never going back up. We get short. And then guess what? $15,000 up your backside, and it hurts. So I'm playing it very cautious. I'm happy to stay short. If this thing wants to break down to 50,000 or 30,000, I'll just remain short the whole time. However, if it goes up, I'll set my stop orders and I'll get out of my shorts. I won't let it go against me. I'll take out some flat. Again, there's not much of my position left, but I will put in orders. I thought I had more. I do have stop orders down here to get more short. I'm not sure why they're not showing here, unless somehow they got. Doesn't matter. Point is, if it wants to keep going down, I'll stay on the short side in case this trend does continue down. So here we are.
Yeah, I've been. I came across an X post recently that actually showed a correlation between Bitcoin price and the software companies ETF.
Okay, the software sector.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's actually
IGV, isn't it? Or
yeah,
I can't remember where it's offhand.
It's a great fit. And interestingly, software companies are being sold off recently because of AI concerns. So the analysts are saying AI is going to eat. Any software company is going to be out of business because AI can do it.
Sure.
Now, I'm not sure I agree with that because there's more to selling software than just writing it. You've got to market it and support it and build a brand and all the rest of it. But right now, that's what the big players are doing. They're selling off software stocks, and right on cue, Bitcoin is actually correlated with that sell-off, which is kind of interesting. And I don't offer that as any kind of insight, but it's an interesting data point. Right?
Yeah.
And it's likely that the market will identify certain software companies that have value.
Yep.
And we'll start to buy those. And actually, personally, I'm invested in Duolingo, so my wife uses it to.
I hate that. I hate that. I don't even think it should be listed as a stock. You love it. I hate it.
Well, no, it's just that it makes money, and everyone uses it, and it's a rare thing as a software company that makes money, right? So, But my position's suffering as a result of that. But my view is that eventually the market will see, well, this is probably cheap. They might see it's cheap when it's lower, but at some point they'll start buying it. And if the correlation holds, there'll be those software stocks that go up, and Bitcoin will also start to build traction.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with your point about the more short people get, the more pessimistic. And it's now been a week, right? People have short memories. And I'm not doing anything on Bitcoin. I'm waiting for it to bounce, but it's a long wait. And if you're long and you're underwater, it's a painful wait.
It is. It is. Yeah.
But I feel I've got to do it because I'm holding out for a sharp bounce and a short squeeze.
Yes.
That will allow me to reposition better, and then we'll see. Then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the liquidation heat map because I've got a lot of short put spreads, high 70s, low 80s even. So I would love to get those out or to escape those. But the thing is will it happen in time? Will it happen this month? It could outweigh this, and that's typical of the market. Actually, why don't we take a look at the liquidation heat map just for shits and giggles? So this is the 24-hour refresh this, so it's good. Okay. 24 hours. Hey, we've got a bit of liquidity down here at 65, 66. Okay, makes sense. 24 hours doesn't mean a heck of a lot. Let's just take a quick look at the 3-day. A little bit down here again. 65 area, a little bit up here towards 70. Nothing
low numbers. Isn't it?
Nothing crazy, right? Yeah. Well, once we start to look at, let's take a week and then we'll take a look at a month. Okay.
Interesting.
Heavier 65 a week. Let's take a look at a month. And after a big move, people have to really roll out positions. Yeah. Hardly anything down here. It's all up here.
Interesting.
It's starting to get to the upside, which doesn't surprise me because people are forced and they're like, oh my gosh, this can go to 50. I don't want to roll my, 70 puts down to 60s because I'll have to roll them again. I'll throw them up at 80 or 90. 3 months doesn't show a heck of a lot. I think the 1 month is the most telling.
I think that that implies to me that if it starts to move up, there's every possibility of a bounce up to 80k, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's going to be a coin toss whether it goes up or down. This is notwithstanding the fact that we're on the precipice of World War III in the Persian Gulf.
Sure, news events aside, yeah.
And the US government is about to utterly implode because it turns out that everybody in power and everyone supporting it is a raging paedophile.
Yeah.
And they're loathed by everyone on every half of the political spectrum, and utterly disrespected by every other government in the world. So that's a new development.
Yeah, I think we all knew that there's a lot of evil people in governments all around the world. Of course, they're not all, but it's coming to light now. It's not just conspiracy.
But there's no way that these people don't get prosecuted or handed out of office. And there's no way that they don't try to flee and therefore liquidate assets. And so there's going to be all kinds of turmoil, I think. So.
I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to get punished.
You don't think so?
No, there has to be an absolute civil war for people to get punished. They'll protect themselves and they'll double down, they'll triple down. That's what governments do. They never give up until they fail completely.
I think the outrage is too great. If American soldiers, if asked to go and fight and die in Iran, they're going to just say, for you? No.
I don't know. I don't know, man. So the thing about a bounce that I love, first of all, it's going... I would love to have the value of Bitcoin go up for a bounce, even though I do have some short calls, not a lot. And I said to you when this crash was happening, I've learned my lesson in past Bitcoin crashes. The temptation is to roll the short puts down, roll them down. And yes, you do that to some degree, you adjust spreads, but the temptation is to throw them all into calls. It's going to keep going down, those calls will be worthless.
Yeah.
do some, but I want to wait for a violent bounce and then I'll sell calls heavily.
Yeah.
The other thing I like, so if you're not trading options, fine. So here we're stuck in this range forever. You're just trading the futures. It broke, okay. Maybe you got it. Maybe you got hurt. Maybe you went short. Whatever, doesn't matter. Ancient history. If this is the extreme, this is like a wicking tail bottom. There's a real good chance that was the bottom. A lot of times that's how you see a bottoming tail or a topping tail candle. You'll see that kind of movement. Bounce up, range. If we bounce up to, let's say, mid 80s or something, or prior support becomes resistance. 90 to 85 might be a nice area to target. That means we've got a new range down here. And I love that, because if it gets up here, I'm going to sell calls like a crazy man up here. And if it dips back down, I'm happy to sell puts again down here.
Yeah.
It won't go crazy, but it establishes a new range, and I love that. If you're trading, it doesn't matter what you're trading.
Well, and the futures equivalent to that is essentially sell, take profits at 85k-ish and fade out up to 85k.
Yeah.
And fade in at sort of 60.
Yep. Sell your longs up here, start to get short, ride it back down, rinse and repeat, and hopefully that's the way it'll work out. Now, someone could say, well, hey, we had this crazy weakness, a bit of a bounce, then weakness again. You're right. Like this thing, every time it gets pushed up, it can go down. What do you think about this thing breaking down kind of below that 60 barrier? There's a lot of people. You've got Michael Saylors, you've got the miners, you've got all kinds of people who want the price of Bitcoin to be up.
Yeah.
Do they have enough power to do it?
Saylor could issue more stock and buy more, although it's not his style. He tends to buy at the top more than the bottom. So we'll see.
And he's always had that pattern for 20 years.
Yeah. The miners, it's a good question. Whether what they normally do is they start mothballing mining kit and reduce their hash rate.
Sure.
And then the difficulty of mining Bitcoin tends to drop, and to a point where it becomes economically viable. And so those businesses will just shrink for a while, I think. And then, but I'm also seeing that there's a fair amount of institutional buying going on at these levels. And I noticed that yesterday that there were 3 days on the trot of ETF net buying, which surprised me given the choppiness of where we are. So, and let's also not forget that Blockfills seems to be in trouble.
Yes, they're ETF, right?
They're brokerage and trading firm.
Brokerage, yeah.
So they're a major force in Bitcoin options or crypto options and futures. They've shut down all client accounts. Well, they've locked all client accounts, so you can still trade with them, but you can't withdraw any money. They say it's to protect our clients, which
heard that one before.
It normally means to protect us, right?
Yeah.
And so what they'll do, of course, is they'll go and recapitalise. They'll go and raise more debt or issue more stock and recapitalise, and then they'll allow withdrawals and they'll trade and so on. So there's that problem working itself out, and there'll be many other firms like DATs and trading firms and VCs and so on in this kind of trouble at the moment. So that'll add choppiness. And so, but if you are an institution and you believe in Bitcoin, then you're probably a buyer here, and that's kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah. And Bitcoin never fails to surprise people. Maybe it'll run up to 95 or something. Who knows? It's possible.
The next move could be an all-time high. I mean, I don't think it will, but could.
I don't think so either. No, but
yeah,
it's interesting. So there is a case for it going down. We've seen a lot of people. Charting people look at like the long-term pattern every time it has a spike and the pullback. This pullback, if they're looking at Fibonacci's or Bollingers or whatever they're looking at, they're saying like 35,000 is kind of the bottom. And I don't know, maybe who knows, right? Again, if it goes down, I'll stay short. Simple as that. Yeah. I'm not going to sell a lot more puts unless there's another big capitulation candle. So if it wants to bust down through, if it's tempting 60, it'll be tempting to short puts down here, and maybe some short dated ones you could. But given the background scenario, I'd rather just stay away from that for now and wait and see if it punches and starts to punch through 50. then you've got a real thing going on. And that would, maybe you could sell March or June put spreads down like 30-25. So they'll be worth a lot. And you could probably make a lot of money on those. And look for another big capitulation and then maybe take some longs off that. Try to catch the falling knife, so to speak. That's how I'll play that.
What's been interesting in our what we do for funds is that we have a momentum indicator robot that it actually looks into the options market and tries to understand where sentiment is and where Bitcoin's going to go from there. And it's quite good at predicting sell-offs, and it got this one right. It got short ahead of this one, and it got short ahead of the October one. And at the moment, it's actually equivocating between being long and short. It can't decide whether it wants to be long or short, which is so that kind of means that sentiment is indicating that there's a bit of a tension here, right?
I don't think that's very surprising. I think a lot of people are on the fence right now of what it's going to do. Yeah. And again, the more it shows like it's going to go down, but it doesn't, the more likely it's going to go up.
Yeah, true.
So we're just going to have to wait and see. Again, it's very weak. The tape is heavy. The pattern is heavy. So we'll just have to wait and see. But don't be surprised if it does make a move. And if it goes up to like 72 or 73, you say, oh my God, it's probably stopping here. Wait for the next leg because there might be another one that rips your face off. Yeah. And if it starts to get up in the 80s, that's when I'm going to start selling calls heavily.
And
I'll look to get on my longs.
There's a lot of money in the traditional markets, and it's the traditional markets, the IBIT ETF that definitely controls the options market in Bitcoin, and I think probably therefore also sets the price for spot Bitcoin because there's all kinds of derivatives on that market, and you can lever up, and brokers can manufacture shares that don't exist, and they can push price around. Not necessarily deliberately, but the amount of money behind it outweighs the amount of money that in the Bitcoin market. So any move can be exacerbated and surprising.
Yeah, something I want to show you.
Yeah. Okay.
So you are bugging me forever. You're like, Shane, buy gold. I'm like, I don't want to buy it at all-time highs. Buy gold, Shane. Buy gold, Shane. Buy gold, Shane. And what did I do? Yeah. I said, I'll wait for a pullback and I'll buy some damn gold. Nice. And I did. I bought some of your damn gold, awesome. And it's up. Yeah, it's doing good.
This is the way.
So here's our average prices right here.
You got it at 47.
Well, that's
wow.
That's our price, and you can see I had orders down here, but it never quite came and hit them. So I was sort of buying maybe as it came down through here. Nothing big. This account's not very big, so we can't. It's not like we can.
No, sure.
Make 50,000.
That was a good move. That's going to 4x in the next year or two.
Yeah, and I think if it pulls back down into this area again, I'll probably buy a little bit more. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to get another pullback. Who knows? The metals are struggling a little bit sometimes, and other days they're strong again. And I think that the overall theme, given the background in the political world and the landscape and the threat of war and everything, there's no reason why the metals aren't going to continue to appreciate right now. Inflation, you name it. Everything is looking pretty ugly. I got to admit, I don't want to be a pessimist, but
I'm a child of the West, and I grew up thinking America was the most amazing place on the planet. So this is hard for me to say, but the US has eradicated all trust internationally in itself. I think if countries could find an alternative to the dollar, they would find it. And this Iran thing could easily mean a catastrophic loss of the part of the fleet, which would then result in undermining of confidence of the country and the dollar. And so this is one of those inflection points in time where it's the concept of the dollar stopping being the global reserve currency can be uttered. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying it's becoming a possibility.
And people have been whispering about it for years. I mean, let's
but there's never been a credible pathway to that, right? But Donald Trump doing airstrikes on Iran from a carrier, the carrier getting nuked by the Iranian, well, not nuked, but destroyed by conventional missiles. That's a major blow to the perception of global power, right?
Yeah, if it happened. And again, I don't think they want to, but of course we know that Israel wants that war.
Right.
And they have immense power and control over the United States. So whether or not we can avoid a war with Iran, I don't know. I sure hope so. I think that's the.
The fallout from that is that then if you start to doubt the dollar as the global currency, what do you do?
What do you do?
Now, an obvious thing to say is, well, everyone will switch to the yuan, but that's not obvious. And I think actually what everyone will do is use their own local currencies, but they'll start valuing each other's currencies based on proven actual asset reserves, and one of those assets is going to be gold.
Yep.
So I think metals remain important for the next section of life.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's been a lot of talk for years about the U.S. debt, how big it is, and if they could revalue gold, they could wipe out their debt.
Right. Yeah.
And so they might just take gold from $5,000 an ounce to $50,000 or something, just to reprice it, wipe out the debt, or kind of reset the whole system. Makes sense because it can't get out of it any other way.
Assuming that we all believe the lie that the US has any gold.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever know. Like Fort Knox, for example, for years, for decades, they said there's no gold there, and they won't prove it, they won't show it. So there's probably no gold there.
Yeah, exactly.
But who knows? And we see so many countries that are smart. Russia, China, various other countries that are increasing their gold reserves. Massive gold. And you see the stupid countries like Canada just sold it all.
And the UK.
Yeah. Well, you get these left-wing, goofball, woke, have no idea what they're doing, zero idea what they're doing. Anyways, I don't want to go on a rant about that. We're supposed to talk about trading. I'll make a lot of enemies.
No, but these are relevant, right? Because as traders, we have to accept the truth, and the truth is often ugly.
Yeah.
And often we have to think the unthinkable if we're going to get ahead of the markets. Right. It's okay for us to be.
Okay, thank you.
Conspiracy theorists.
It's like I just confessed. It's okay to say. I did want to show you the Max Payne.
Okay.
And I kind of meant to do this earlier. Ooh, that's bright screen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's the end of the month.
80K on the end of the month.
82,000 is the Max Payne on options, and then next month at March it's 88.
That would be ironic if everyone's rolled all their 80K puts and then they're going to get hosed in March.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. And so that kind of goes back to our theory about a push back up. Even if it's temporary, where's the pain? Well, low 80s to high 80s would cause a real problem over the next month and a half, and that's what I'm really hoping for. Even if I have short calls there, I've got no problem adjusting those up because I've got tons of cover left over, shrapnel. I've got tons of long calls up here which are worthless right now, but I'll use that cover to hide them behind and create spreads out of. Again, this isn't an options trading day, but hey, if you want to contact us at roguetraders.live, we can talk more about that because we do trade a lot of options there along with everything else. So that's another case for. Do you want to take a look at your immersive finance?
Yeah. Take a look. Okay, so we're pretty bearish at the moment in terms of sentiment. So almost
22%, the 10 delta risk reversal.
Yeah. So last week on Thursday or whatever it was, that was actually minus 60%.
60.
Yeah.
60. That was during the crash.
During that wick down. If you change that to 1 month, during that wick there.
Here's the price.
So you see that the orange line is the volatility. So that increased up to 100%, which is back to the old days of Bitcoin.
102.
And at that point, the skew was minus 60% at the 10 delta, which means that the puts were 60% more expensive in terms of volatility than the calls.
Yeah.
Which essentially means everyone's buying puts, no one's buying calls, right? And even the 25 delta risk reversals here at minus 11, that's fairly strong, right?
Mm-hmm. Usually we see like a 3%, 2%, on a flat market.
4 or 5 maybe. But so this is like people are very much about protecting the downside. And market makers are making them pay for it.
And this is normal after a crash, and it looks like it still might go down. So you still got to pay. You still got to pay for those puts.
Yeah.
And it might end up being money.
Well, I see that
threw down the toilet.
And again, the ATMF at the money forward, which is the implied volatility of the at the monies, that's down to sort of more normal levels. I mean, for the previous 3 months, we've been trading at 40%, but 50 is about normal for Bitcoin. It kind of implies that if this were an inflection point and the bottom, what I'm seeing here would not disagree with that sentiment. I'm not saying that it's a categoric, but I'm saying that this is not inconsistent with us having seen the bottom for now.
Mm-hmm.
But neither is it inconsistent with it carrying on. Because
Yeah.
but when more and more people pay for protection, when they buy puts, the market makers will sell puts, which means the market makers have to sell futures to hedge those puts. And I know that many people will get lost at this point, but just take this as a fact. If I buy puts, I'm forcing market makers to sell the market. And despite all of that buying pressure of puts and therefore selling pressure in the market still hasn't...
Still held up.
It's still held up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of encouraging if you're wanting to get long.
And sometimes, the best trades are really when it looks darkest.
Yeah.
It's always darkest right before the dawn. And, buy when there's blood in the streets and all those, cliches we've heard all those years.
Well, I said today, I'm in a group on Telegram of about 100 quant traders. And
nerds.
And I said to them, we were talking about, safe assets and stuff. And I said, look, the universe is not safe. The universe is chaotic, and destruction and change is the norm. And there is no stability. There's no stability in finance. There's no stability in economics. There's no stability in anthropology. There's no even stability on the earth. The plates of the earth move, mountains grow, shrink.
Comets, you name it.
So, and you're going to die. And the best you can hope for in your life is a glorious death.
And go to Valhalla.
So
I'm serious.
So be brave. Don't feel fear.
Brave, yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Speaking of that, I saw that Musk has shifted his focus on SpaceX to the moon. He's still focusing on Mars, just because who knows? But he says within 5, 6, 7 years.
Can I hear us?
What? Sure, we can. Yeah, we can. It's just not. Screwed.
Yeah.
I've got things under control.
Okay.
I've got things under control. So this moon-based thing, because he wants to, if something happens on the Earth for whatever reason, there'll be a colony there. You couldn't really sustain yourself in the colony without supplies from Earth. But okay, these are problems that you have to solve one step at a time. And then Mars, would you live on a Mars colony? Would you go there?
I think going to Mars is certain death.
Well, absolutely, it's certain death.
No, but it's certain quick death.
Quick death?
Yeah.
Nah, it'll be okay. I'm sure.
I'm
talking about the moon. Would you do a moon colony?
The moon is safer, oddly, than Mars, right? And Mars has water on it, and the moon doesn't. But the moon still has some protection from the solar rays that the Mars does not have from us and from our magnetic field.
Well, assuming you could have shielding and you could. I'm just talking about the moon. Would you move to the moon?
Would I move to the moon? That's kind of like saying, would I choose to go and live in a prison cell with no windows and no sunlight and no trees?
So no, you're not going to volunteer for the moon journey. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about there? No, gold we talked about.
It'd be nice to visit, right? To see it and look out over the barren landscape for about 10 minutes and think, okay, I'm glad I don't live here.
I would visit. Yeah, I'd visit. Yeah, it would be a tough gig to live there. I don't know what kind of people do that, but it depends on how crappy it gets here. Maybe
if it gets that bad here, then there's no way to resupply the moon.
Well, that's just it. You can't. I guess you could set up. Let's not go too far.
You'd have to build an entire dome around the entire moon and build a.
All right, so this is supposed to be a trading crypto thing, and we're talking about going to the moon. But
so let's not buy the SpaceX IPO.
And I think it's going to be the biggest thing ever. I think we should.
We buy the IPO and then get out fast. I mean, it's going to be like a crypto IPO, right?
I don't know, Richard. I think and you see all these science fiction movies. They talk about how these companies, it's only the first step, and we have no idea how far that's going to go. I really think that being in space or having a part of your portfolio position there is really going to be important.
Yeah, actually, what I wouldn't mind doing is traveling on if we built a spaceship. If you could build a spaceship with an inner core, and then you surround it with water, and then the water would act as a barrier for the incoming radiation, but it will also act as a water supply.
Do you drink radioactive water?
Well, no, because the water would absorb the neutrons and it wouldn't be radioactive anymore. But the thing about space is that if you put water on a solid, the water will stick to it because the surface tension is stronger than there's nothing to push against the surface tension. So your entire spaceship could be a ball of iron, hollow, where you live, and then outside it a massive sphere of water. So now you've got a water supply and a shield.
All right. So, what's our trading plan for this week? Well, I'll tell you what my trading plan is I'm waiting for a bounce.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stay short.
Yeah.
Unless it wants to rip up, I will not have this short go against me. I will take that out, and I will probably flip long if we get up into the mid-70s, assuming that it's going to carry up. Now, that may take some time. It might happen over 3 days or 3 weeks or who knows. Otherwise, I'm going to stay short and see what happens here. If we end up really pushing down, I'll short more, and I'll look for a break of that 60. Now, if it did that, and I don't think that's going to happen, but if it did, is there a chance it could go down way down here? Yes, but I'll be scaling out of the short on the way down. I'm not going to hold it for 20,000 or something and then get out and be a hero, because it could just be another quick wick down and then back up and find this range again. That's my thoughts. Trading futures.
Yeah, I mean, not that it means anything. I'd be stunned if we got down to 35K.
Me too.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say, and I meant to bring this up before, is Bitcoin has shown that it is not a store of value compared to gold. I mean, look at gold. Gold is freaking awesome, and there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Gold and silver are really holding up. It is actually a proper store of value. So let's say you've got Bitcoin. Let's say you buy some stock in Tesla or G or whatever the heck you buy. Whether it's a startup, it becomes an established company, it has revenue, it provides a dividend. There's a reason to hold it. What's the reason to hold Bitcoin if it's not a store of value?
Well,
in the hope that it's going to go up in the future. That's it.
Well, it has more utility than that. It has similar utility to buying fine art and using that as an unofficial currency, but it's more portable than fine art. So it's an off balance sheet means of transaction, right?
It seems like we've seen. I've seen the market in watches and fine art.
Right,
it's really volatile.
Right. Yes, it's volatile. And what I was going to say is that this market for off unofficial transactions is valid and has a value, but I just don't think we've discovered what the value is yet. What is the
true price discovery?
What's the true price of this flexibility in transaction, right? And I think actually, interestingly, the DATS and Saylor's MicroStrategy confuse that, because they create these artificial stores of Bitcoin that could leak out at some point, and so they distort the whole equation about price discovery. But that's a topic for another day, probably.
Yeah. What's your prediction, or what's your trading strategy going forward? Until next week.
I think at the moment I'm just waiting to see. I'm personally in my prop books. I'm hoping for a bounce because it means I don't have to adjust stuff. In our systematic books, we just obey what our robots do. And
right now it's pretty neutral. This afternoon it's neutral. It could change tonight.
I mean, last night it flipped from positive to negative back to positive again. Just as it was reassessing the market and couldn't really find it. So these periods, that bot tends to lose a bit of money because it tends to change its mind and pay money it shouldn't pay, and then it'll get it right and it'll stay on the trend and it'll print loads of money. So we're just waiting for a breakout in either direction. One
other thing that should be noted is when we look at markets like the European markets, the U.S. market, they're right near all-time highs. We're right near all-time highs, and Bitcoin isn't.
Yes,
and that's part of rotation as well. And you can't have money everywhere all at the same time.
So finally, Bitcoiners have got what they wanted. They've got a counter.
Doesn't just follow the S&P.
Anti-correlated asset, right?
Yeah, because when it started, it didn't. It was kind of, and then it became correlated. But then you talked about at the beginning of the show how it is actually correlated with the software sector.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going through this metamorphosis and change. And maybe you're right. It's maybe just part of that whole price discovery, which can take years, and it goes through different phases.
Maybe it's only software engineers who own Bitcoin.
Maybe
they're all short of cash right now.
All right, let's wind it up. That's it for today. We've gone a little bit longer than usual, but thanks for sticking with us and listening to our rants and raves. But hey, there's still great trading opportunities in Bitcoin. It's gonna go up or down, and let's make some money regardless of what it does. So that's it for today or this week, and we will catch you next week.